Okay, so in part one, I talked about the type of stress that you can't get away from. And you could apply that to someone bothering you, but you could also apply it further just to a situation you're in that doesn't involve someone else talking all the time or bossing you around or, being in a position of being in the military or having someone at work have authority over you. You could also apply it to you're sick, you're in pain, you don't have enough money coming in and you're incredibly stressed and you don't know how you're going to deal with anything. So this is mostly for the type of stress that other people put us under, but it really is going to apply across the board to everything. For the solution, for one solution, there are others. The most obvious people are going to tell you is to solve the problem or get away from whoever's causing the problem. And like we talked about in part one, you're in prison, you're at work, you're in the military, or in another situation, you might not be able to do that. You're going to have to deal with the person who is causing you the stress. And the way to deal with that in those situations is not to tell them who you are as a person and that they have no authority over you, because that is going to be seen as a confrontation that could get you scrubbing toilets for a week, or beaten in some cases, or fired. How many of you heard the Wayne Dyer interview, where the lecture that he did, where he says the advice he gives people, like, if there's something you want to do and you talk to it around people, like dreams that you have, things that you're interested in, ideas, things that inspire you, but the people around you think it's stupid or don't support it, and then they start telling you what they think you need to do. He says the worst thing you can do is argue with them and say, that's not who I am. Don't tell me what to do. That's not what I want to do. You don't know who I am. I want you to know who I am. Damn it. Let me be me. Let me be free. He said that's the worst thing you can do, because when you do that, they are already trying to exert their will over you. They already think they're right. They already think they know what's best for you. So when you do that, it confirms to them that you need fixing, and they're just the ones to fix you. And they need to convince you of their point of view, and a power struggle ensues. You're trying to be free and demanding that they acknowledge your right to be free and your right to think thoughts outside of their viewpoints, and they feel the need to make you see things their way and make your life better by following their advice. And in worst case scenarios, they're in a position of authority over you and will exert their will over you, and already are, but particularly will if they see you as lashing out against them or rebelling or confronting them. So Wayne Dyer's advice in that situation is that you take the path of non-resistance, or least resistance, and you say, you know what, it's a really good idea, thank you, I'm going to think about that. The person has nowhere to go from there. Or you say, I never thought of it that way, you're right, thanks, I'll look into that. Because the person will drop it unless they're out of their mind, which is exactly what my last video was about and what we're going to talk about in this. But the person will drop it, and then they bring it up again in the future. You do the same exact thing. You know what, that was really a lot to think about, and I'm still thinking about it. So yeah, just I'll get back to you when I do. So just thank you though, because it really is helpful. You're right, yeah, absolutely, okay. And they drop it because they think, yeah, they're listening to me. they they think you're doing exactly what it is that they wanted you to do, which is listen to them, respect them, take their advice and follow their direction. Even though you're not. You're just saying it. And then you go on and you dream away and work toward whatever it is you want without anyone telling you you can't. So, in part one, we did talk about being in situations where you can't get away from the stressor, the boss, the drill sergeant, the insane person, whatever. In those situations, we kind of do take the road of least resistance by instinct, don't we? You can't get away, and you know you can't. It's a daily situation, so you just, by habit, tend to take the road of least resistance, tend to try to deflect and tend to try to get the person to calm down or at least go away. And that's how we handle it on some level. But the other way, people are going to say, again, get away, or to relieve stress, change your environment, go outside. All these things work for stress, but in the situation that you find yourself in daily that you might not be able to get out of, where your time is being restricted by authority or other means, you're going to have to use your mind to free yourself. And if you think about it, with law of attraction and positive thinking and all that, if you don't use your mind to free yourself, your mind's being used against you anyway. The person in the position of power is manipulating your mind to think the way they do about you. So, if you take what they say to heart and you believe what they say, so I'm not saying to outwardly go against it and say fuck off if you can't, and I'm sorry I wasn't going to swear in this one, but in this situation, doing what Wayne Dyer says and agreeing, using the path of least resistance to diffuse them, while at the same time acknowledging to yourself and saying, you know what, I'm agreeing with you, but you're not the boss of me. You don't own my soul. You don't own my spirit. You don't own my mind. You don't own my thoughts. You don't know who I really am. You think you do, but you don't. That's what you want to say. You don't say that out loud, but you better say that to yourself. You better let yourself know that you know who you are, and you are not who they are trying to make you feel you are, or who they are telling you you are, or who they're telling you you're supposed to be. Because if you let them do that, and you do what they say without telling yourself inside that's not who you are, and you know who you are, you will end up becoming a mere shadow of yourself, and you will, at least outwardly, be who they want you to be, and you'll lose who you are, and you won't know who you are anymore. And I've seen that happen to people. So yeah, I would say get outside if you can, but if you can't, you really should be imagining and working on visualizing outside. Whatever freedom is to you, whatever it is that you want, that you don't have in that moment, for those 8 or 10 hours you're stuck there, or some people are stuck longer than that. It just depends on the situation. You may be signed on somewhere for a year or two, and you may be serving a sentence, or you might just be in a situation that's just a constant daily thing without any end in sight. You better be using your mind to counteract what the authority figure is doing to you, in brainwashing you to be who they want you to be, or see yourself the way they see you. Because, I mean, to be honest, it is really easy to end up with incredibly low self-esteem and not be able to imagine anyone seeing anything good in you. if you start to believe someone always telling you that you're not good enough, it is really easy. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening because at first you're saying this is bullshit. Then you learn it's easier to be quiet, and it is. Wayne Dyer even tells us it is. After a while, you're telling yourself inside, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I am. But if you stop doing that, you will lose faith in yourself, and you will start to think, it must be true. No one else is ever going to see past that. So, whatever the situation, you have to hold on to what it is you remember wanting in the beginning for yourself before the limitations were placed upon you. Hold on to it no matter how difficult or impossible that seems. I'm not recommending following your dreams. You know, people are talking about if you're not happy doing what you love, you'll only be happy if you do for a living and spend your time doing what you love, and that is absolutely true. And the people who do that are happy people. If you can do that, do it. If you can strive for it while you have to do something else, do that. Don't ever give up hope. Don't ever give up. But reality is that if you just take off and go to Hollywood, if that's your dream, 1% of you are going to make it, and the rest of you are going to end up in potentially really horrible situations in your attempt to live your dream, and it's going to be a nightmare. So don't just throw everything away and do something completely unrealistic, but don't give up on it even if it is unrealistic. Have the hope and do the things that you need to do to work toward it physically, things that make sense, while at the same time mentally no holds barred mentally in visualizing. Alright? If that means you're in a place and you want to go outside just to get away from it, you're going to have to imagine the outside. You're going to have to imagine nature, beauty, flowers, the ocean, waterfalls, rainbows, dolphins, whatever. Okay? Imagine someone you're in love with. Imagine whatever it is that makes you feel the way you would want to feel on a daily basis all the time. Whatever that would be that you imagine it would be, or can remember at one point in time, imagining it being. You need to be imagining that while you're stuck wherever you're stuck, because that's the only way out on an energy level, because like attracts like, and negativity attracts negativity, and if you're in a negative situation and your circumstances don't allow you to escape it, the only way to escape it is in your mind. And if you can escape it in your mind, you can draw it to you vibrationally, energetically, and the impossible can become possible. The absolutely impossible can become possible. I've seen it happen to other people. Okay? I've seen it happen. And on a personal level, uncanny things have happened to me. And it goes right along with what I imagine or have imagined. So I'm going to leave you with that. Work on your mind. It is the way out of situations that there is no way out of. It can make the impossible possible. And by the way, I can't have a video without saying the elite know this and are using it against you. Your mind. Okay. Good night, guys and girls. Good day, wherever you may be.